Hello everybody, welcome to a new tutorial from Sound for More. It's Leo speaking. Today I'm going to show you how to use the timer node inside Audulus 4. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. So I've just created a new patch. Let's go to the utility category here and let's drag and drop the timer node. So how does it work? Well, it's very simple. You have an input trigger. When you click on it, it will reset the timer from 0. And then you have an output which says time. And that output will give you the timers in seconds from the time that you last triggered it. So let's, for example, go to meter and let's drag and drop a value node and let's connect that to the output of the timer node. As you can see, is moving up in seconds. As you can see, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and it keeps going like that. And it will never stop unless you trigger it. So one way to trigger it is go to, for example, the MIDI category and drag and drop a trigger. Let's connect that to the input trigger. And you see that as soon as I press on the trigger button, the timer will restart from 0. So that's nice and handy. Now, another way to actually use the timer, for example, is to set it up that it resets itself automatically after a number of seconds. So how do we achieve that? Well, let's go to the math category. Let's go to the expression node, drag and drop one. Let's select that expression node. Let's go to the inspector and let's type in there x as an input variable greater than, for example, 4. And when that is valid, it will generate a true value, which will be like generating a trigger. So let's take the output from the timer, connect it to the input of the expression. Then let's take the output of that expression, connect it to the input of the timer. As you can see, it is restarted. As soon as you get over 4, it restarts from 0 again. And you can see the trigger going through from the output of the expression into the input of the timer node. So that's a nice way to actually do that and to have it re-triggered automatically. Now you could highlight that value node, for example, go to the inspector and say, I don't want any decimal figure. And you can see it's moving up 3. But then it goes to 4 and then it goes quickly to 0 and 1. So to avoid that anomaly, so what you could do is to drag and drop another expression node, select that, go to the inspector and use the floor function and round it down the number. And in so doing, you find that you correct the value output here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and then it starts from 0 again. If I use the seal function instead of the floor function, I would have rounded up and it would have started from 1 to 4. So that is perhaps one of the decisions you need to take. Now, if I want, for example, to also trigger it manually instead of having it auto-trigger it, or having it at the same time that it can auto-trigger it, to achieve that, what I can do is drag and drop a sum node, then take the output here from that expression here and put it in the input of sum node, and the same for the trigger, and then use the output of that sum node into the input of the timer. Right, and let me show you how it works. So it goes up to 3 and then it restart. Let's I re-trigger when it's 2 and restart from 0. Really nice. Now let's select everything we have here. Let's group it like so, and then we have a nice module. Let's double click on it to enter the module. Let's go to that value node. Let's go to the inspector panel and let's expose that value node. Let's go up to exit like so. Let's adjust the interface. Let's move like so the controls. Perfect. And there you are. We have a double click to zoom in. Let's remove the inspector. And we have a nice module that count from 0 to 3, which I can also reset to 0 when I click on the trigger button. So really, really nice and straightforward to use. Now, you might just say, okay, what's the use of this? Well, as you will see in some upcoming tutorial, you can use these as a timer, which is in seconds, of course, to trigger, for example, part of another module, which could be useful, for example, to trigger notes in what could look like a sequencer. But as you will see in upcoming tutorial, the better way to actually create counters will be using the phaser here node inside the synth category and use the expression node to create some dedicated counters. But I will show that in upcoming tutorials. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the short tutorial, and as always, see you next time. Bye.